it really states that there are multiple ways for us to be able to reach people in order for them to be authentic / vulnerable. That it isn't just necessarily in a circle of men or women just talking, that there can be one-on-ones, it can be forum, it can be this, it can be that, but it's recognizing that there are multiple different ways, and that we need to be very cognizant of that, because the other side of this these days is this, is our bipartisan nature, so to speak, where there is partisan nature, where it's become hard to have conversations with people because it finds it so hard to kind of connect. And so that's where I really like that word strategy, because this is about saying, yes, in order for other people to open up to us, we have to catch all of that and create all these different pathways. And it takes effort. It's not going to be easy, but I think that's where it's really important. And I really like where, I really admire and respect your vulnerability and authenticity in being able to share about this. So thank you so much for that.
Thank you. It's an absolute pleasure. It's a topic that I'm increasingly passionate about. It's one I've struggled with so much. I think to disarm the pretender in me, when the sporting fields and corporate environments, they've taught me to layer up, to harden up, to put stuff atop of what my true self is, to show up in a certain way, to be able to fire people at will as if I'm an executioner in a prison camp, with no heart or soul, or concern for the people that I'm affecting. What business asks of us and what society asks of us as human beings it's just not cool. And we have to, it's okay that we have to do these things functionally for a job, yeah? What's not okay is that we're not held in the space of safety afterward about how much it troubled us to do it. So if you've got to fire somebody, that is one of the hardest things you'll ever do. And most people who've done it know that. But the lack of empathy for people doing the firing is, that's where the work needs to get done. That's where we need to be able to create spaces for people to go, hey, you must be feeling really bad, right? Because you've just, shot 30 people in Sector 12 or whatever, And it's just, there's not enough around it. And I think a lot of the intervention programs we see in corporate are lip service, and they're not real, and they're not places that people feel safe to show up in.
Absolutely. And I just really like that last little point that you made about, that particular example of firing someone. Like, it could be so easy for that person to become an enemy somewhere, that person becomes the bad person. But that's where we, if we had to really demonstrate that empathy, it is to say, well, that's a real person there too. And they've perhaps gone through something that's been just as tough for them. And so to be able to lay things on top of them, that's not good. That's actually really bad, and it doesn't demonstrate the broader empathy that we want to be able to foster in order to have really meaningful, safe and trustworthy conversations as well. So yeah,
it's pretty critical now too. I mean, one of the things that my business does is measures resilience in organizations. Now, resilience, agility, it's kind of interchangeable. What we're measuring is the organization's ability as a collective to respond to external circumstances. But when we talk to resilience, and I've written some articles about resilience and courage and things like that, we also need to pay homage to the fact that being resilient is not just about hardening up. It's actually about having the soft conversations that allow you to be bloody real in those moments and own the stuff that's really troubling you, that's bothering you about what's happening, or that's frightening you about the security of your job, or about a colleague who's really doing it hard right now at home. If those conversations or those spaces are made for those conversations, then organizations become more resilient. You don't become more resilient by just hardening up some more. That's the wrong way to go back. And that's what we continue to ask people to do. In fact, there was a men's health woman who I dropped like a bag of bricks, who I was kind of friends with, who was doing some work around men's therapy and things like that. But she sent an article out that said all men need to do is harden up some more. And I was like, no, girl, no, that's not what's needed. Not at all. In fact, there's way too much of that, both in men and women today. So much so that men sort of fumbling around going, where do I belong again? What am I supposed to be doing? Because, you know, I'm not, you know, holding out a violin, but gee whiz, surely equity doesn't get done in separation. So surely, right? And, you know, I don't think the answer is, oh, let's have men's groups too. I mean, that's ridiculous, right? It doesn't solve the issue. The issue is that we need to be freely able to be ourselves with men or women in spaces that are acceptable. Yeah. So that's my view. I hope I haven't offended anyone with that view, but.